The first time I ever felt anything with spoken word, or heard what spoken word was, I was a freshman in my English class, and we had the first ever poetry slam there. And it just captivated me. You know, I didn't really grow up in an environment where you could just freely speak any feeling without consequence. And I think a lot of women struggle with that, especially Hispanic women. You know, we're kind of taught to be silent and strong and the rock. But the vulnerability that any performance art really lends you, or just art in general lends you, is fucking life-changing, you know? To say, like, I am so much more than just another woman that carries this shit on my back, silently, because I'm woman enough to not speak about the struggle. It's bullshit, you know? I am such a woman that I'm not afraid of the bullshit inside of me. I'm not afraid of showing you all of that raw pain and disgusting trauma and disgusting hurt, you know what I mean? And there's that power in the singular voice, because it calls to like a bigger unity in a way, whether it's just in a poetry slam, whether it's just at a women's conference, whether it's a song you're singing with your girls, you know what I mean? No matter the scene, it's a reclamation of power to use your voice in any way, whether it's art, whether it's daily conversations, you know? And so I think that's the first moment in my life when I really began to taste and feel my own power. And then becoming a young woman now, I've only recently reconnected to feeling safe in that power again because of the community that it's brought upon, you know? Outside of the spoken word family that I have, you know, with Southern Word, the nonprofit in Nashville that puts these poetry workshops into every metro school. It's like reached out now to this bigger artistic expansion and even activist expansion at this point. You know, we're all fighting for something with our voices because there's so much shit to be said. There's so much shit to be fixed. And I don't want to be pessimistic and say it's never ending, but there is just always going to be, whether it's a microaggression or a macro issue, there is always going to be something to fight and fight for. I think for me personally, the Hispanic female experience has like this internalized trauma that comes with it generationally, from the home, the environment I grew up in, but at the same time, I can't be a coward and shy away from the fact that I have a half-white and very white passing cloth of privilege over me. You know what I mean? So I grew up as a very Hispanic woman because my mother is a very Hispanic woman, comes from a long line of stubborn, fierce, loud Hispanic women. And there is a struggle that comes with that, though, is that we have no choice but to be strong and loud and fierce, or silent and strong and internalize that furiousness, you know, and let it build up into rage and anger. And so kind of transcending that aspect of it. And I guess sometimes maybe it is a little bit of my white privilege to be able to speak out, you know, externalize all of that fury that for generations we were taught to just keep silent, shut up, go back to the kitchen, you know, write it in our diaries, but leave the lock open because we have no secrets, you know, we're not allowed to. We're the strong women that hold the house together and we have no struggles outside the house, quote unquote, you know? So I think it's definitely that generational experience that you internalize as a Hispanic woman growing up. But like I said, in the real world, it's a privilege that I get to tell people that I'm Hispanic, not assumed always to be Hispanic and face the social consequences of that, you know? I think art has such a powerful place in activism, and activism has this insane place in art as well. I think it's the most beautiful and powerful and unifying thing that we can do is fuse the two together. You know, I know a lot of people want to tell like artists or like even celebrities like to shut up and sing your song or shut up and do your painting, you know what I mean? Don't get political, but we have no choice but to be political. You know what I mean? That's where really the basis of a lot of art came from, is a reclamation of voice, of power, of struggle. I mean, you look at these cultural shifts and it all comes out of this desire to change the fucking world. How am I going to change the world if I'm silent, you know? If I keep my art for myself, or if I put out this bland art, you know, this surface level bullshit, basically, you know? I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to speak a truth with you. Not to you, not for you, but with you, you know? And that's the role that activism plays. And I think a lot of modern art now, as we see it become more of this, like, mainstream freedom to, like I said, put art into activism, into these marches, into these conferences, but also put a lot of political force behind our art as well, rather than separate the two lives. So I first started writing Nasty Woman the second I heard Trump call Hillary a nasty woman in the debate. And it was particularly interesting to me because he had only said it because of some like snide comeback that she had made, or snide remarks she had made to him, despite that being something he had been doing the entire debate to her. You know what I mean? And so that, to me, in itself was just the most simple justification I could think to reclaim this, you know? That, yeah, if I talk back to a man for putting me down for an hour, like, yeah, I am a fucking nasty woman. I am a bitch, you know what I mean? You can call me what I want, but I'm still going to reclaim my voice, and I'm still going to stand up, you know? Because he wants to bully her or everybody else, women, minority groups, out of our own voices. And I just refuse to stand for that, you know? So if being called a nasty woman or all these names is what it takes to find my freedom and find my voice again and fight for the greater, or with the greater good, then yeah, I am a nasty woman. If we're fighting in this same struggle, we're going to be fighting the man together. We're not going to be fighting each other, you know? So I mean, community unity. I don't say it in a sense of this naive, optimistic, the whole world can be pretty if we all come together, you know? So we all have to fight together. We have to burn this shit to the ground and start all over if that's what it takes, you know? And yeah, I am nasty. You can try to grab at my pussy, but this is my power, and I'm not going to stop claiming it, no matter how much you want to drag me in the dirt for it, you know? So I guess that, again, is just the summary of what I would hope people receive from it and what I would hope it calls to still. So I remember writing Smack That in the sense of this analysis that men are allowed to own our sexuality in pop culture, but we aren't, essentially. I mean, and this was when I was maybe 18, you know? So this is a few years ago. And I think we see these sort of issues constantly resurfacing, you know? Songs like WAP with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, it was so talked down on, like it was some disgusting, dirty reclamation of sexuality, or that it even had to have a deeper meaning. You know what I mean? That they're constantly talked down on for not being role models to young girls, as if that's their job, you know? As if they have to babysit us or babysit our daughters, rather than to just talk about their lives. If their lives involve, like, sitting on a lot of good dick, then, like, good for them. Men get to talk about it for decades. Lil Wayne gets to call himself a pussy monster. Akon gets to say, smack that. There's just decades of men owning not only their own sexuality, but kind of putting this monopoly on all of it, that it surrounds their pleasure. That when I wear my cleavage out, when I go braless and free my nipple, that somehow my body was built for you, that every sexual action I take is supposed to be for a man. And I think it's complete bullshit.